In this video, we're going to look at creating a contact, setting up a saved search for a contact, putting that together and setting up their notifications, and a lot of other ways that we can maintain our contacts in the Paragon system. So I'm going to go directly up here to my contact information or my contact area up here. And I've got several options. I can add a contact, I can view, manage them, or I can manage the groups that I've created for them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to view, manage my contacts. In our earlier videos, I had set up a save search for George Washington, and I had put the search together with George's name. So if we go down here to our contacts and we find George, we're going to click on his name here, and you'll notice that there's several different searches that are already connected to George, but the one that I did earlier was the George Washington condos. So I'm going to go over here to my buyer activity, and I'm going to click on buyer activity. Now you'll notice here on all of these circles with the line through them, that means that there are no notifications going out. So even though this search is connected to my client, nothing's happening with this search. So what I would like to do is go to the one that I've just created, and I'm going to highlight that. And you'll notice that all of the notifications for this are off. So he currently doesn't have any emails going to him automatically. Now, in the earlier videos, we did a search for him, and then we emailed him the results that we got from that initial search. And that's a very important step that you want to remember to do. So when you're creating a search, when you set up a search initially for your client, this is an important step, is to set them up for the notifications, but you also want to remember that you want to send them everything that's available on the day that you do that search. So you want to make sure that you are manually emailing them the search results that you get the very first time you set up the search for them. What we're doing now is we're setting up notifications. So this is going to allow us to let Paragon do the work for us. So what Paragon is going to do is go in, and it's going to run the search that we have created every 15 minutes. And if something is new or something that has changed that now fits their criteria, they are going to receive that email. It's going to be pushed out to them in an email and possibly to their collaboration center as well. And they're going to be able to get that very quickly. So within about 15 minutes of that property being on the market, they're going to get notifications for that. So let's go ahead and set them up for notifications. So under this, I'm going to choose my collab center. And we'll go into that here just a little bit. I'm going to show you what that looks like on the client side, and as well all the options that you have. So when we choose the collaboration center, you'll notice that our 42 matches that we did for the search beforehand are up there as matches that connected to George. So I want to come into this options area, and I want to make sure everything is set up the way that I want them to get these messages. So we can select a message body to include in your notifications. So if I click on this, I can type a custom message below. Now, keep in mind that this message needs to be very general, because they're going to receive this message every time they get a notification on a new listing. So you don't want to say something like, hey, it was great to talk to you yesterday, because they're going to get that message every time a new listing comes out. So you want to be very general and say something like, if you're interested in any of these, please give me a call at this number. Something very general that they'll see every time that they get these notices. So we're going to just click OK when we're done typing that out. And the next thing that we have here is a notification date range. So you'll notice that it's starting with today and it's going exactly a year out. What that means is that if George is still in your client list and he is still looking for a home in a year's time, there's going to be a notification pop up on your screen and say, hey, this is a year old. Do you still want to send George these emails? And it's kind of just a check to make sure that you can say yes or you can say no. But if you say yes, then he'll continue to get those emails for another year. This helps you, just to remind you that your client is still getting these emails, but it also helps Paragon that they're not marked as a spamming company, so that there are certain checks and balances in place so that there are not email companies that are marking them as spam. So I'm going to leave this at a year out, and I'm going to go down here to my notification trigger. So right now, George is getting anything that has a price change, that's a new match, that has an open house, a new comment, or a status change, or an initial photo. So that initial photo means that if there was maybe one photo on that home and the agent went in and added more photos, then that your client is going to get notified that there are now more photos on that listing. So all of these are just any changes that come about, any open houses that are happening with his or her matches. And so I'm going to leave all of those as they are. I'm going to leave this client notification on immediately. And that just means that every 15 minutes, Paragon is going to run my search, and it's going to immediately email those search results to my client. Now, if you have a client that says, can you just save them up and email them to me once a week? You say absolutely, and you're going to come into this area that says recurring, and you can go to this modify time frame. And so George, instead of getting them immediately, he wants them weekly. So we're going to go to weekly, and we're going to send them to him every Monday, and we're going to change this to AM so that George, every morning at 7 a.m., he's going to be emailed all of the matches that he got the week before. So what this is doing is it's still running those searches every 15 minutes, but now Paragon is holding on to those until Monday at 7 a.m. and then he will get a full list of everything that changed that week. This is kind of unusual. Most people, I think, are going to want to get those results immediately, but I wanted to show you that you can set these up on a recurring basis. You can do the same thing with the notifications that are coming to you as an agent notification. So if you want to get those immediately, you'll check this. If you want to get them on a recurring basis, you'll check that option and set up the time and dates you want to receive those. So because George has a spouse that you see over here, we've got this notify spouse or secondary person. We've got that checked. So it's automatically got George's and his spouse's email address in here. We can add a carbon copy or a blind carbon copy recipient. And then we can modify this activity notification for our collaboration center site. If I don't like what that says, I can change that to something else. I'm going to leave it as it is because I'm fine with that subject line. That way they know that there's activity, there's new listings for them to see. And I'm going to click the OK button. So now that I've done this, and you'll notice that this little circle went from a circle with the line through it to now it looks like kind of the Earth type of icon over there. So now George is going to get anything that's new. Paragon is going to search for me every 15 minutes and send that those listings to him. Now, if this is the very first time that you're setting up your client for these notifications, you want to go to this send invitation. Now, because I've done this with George before, it says resend, but the very first time you do that, it's going to say send invitation. And I want to show you what that looks like because it's very important to send them the invitation to their collaboration center the very first time you set them up. So I'm going to click on this, and it's going to look really blank. It's going to look like it's completely a blank page that you're sending. But if you hit the preview button, it's going to show you exactly what George is going to see. So we've got your phone number up here. We've got your email address on the right side. We've got your photo that you've uploaded to Paragon, and it's welcoming them to their collaboration center. So it's got George and his spouse, Martha's name, because we've included her as well. And then there is a link to visit your site. It's telling George also that there's 42 matches currently that we've found for them. He can also go to that area by viewing listings. A little bit of information about where these listings come from. So this is going to be listings that you have saved searches versus your listing carts, which come out on his side as called agent recommended. So he's going to see both of those. There are categories for him to choose a favorite, a possible, or a reject on each listing. And he can also communicate with comments to you back and forth through this collaboration center. It also gives them some more information about them customizing folders and comparing listings. And if they, because George has already set up his password, if he's forgotten it, he can click that and it will give him the ability to reset that password. And then all of your information as an agent is going to show here down at the bottom, as well as the logo from your brokerage. Okay, so George is always going to have this tiny little unsubscribe, or your clients are going to have this. If at any time they decide they want to stop getting these emails, they can unsubscribe with that button. Now you're going to get an email notifying you that your client has unsubscribed from those emails. So that will never happen without you knowing that. I'm going to close this out. Now if I want a custom message, I can type anything here. I'll just type something quickly and hit preview to show you where that comes up on here. So you'll see that your whatever you want to put there, if you want to do a custom message, is going to show here at the top of their email. So as soon as I'm ready, I'm going to hit send. That's going to send the message to him. And so this is exactly what George is going to see. He's going to click on those links, go directly. He's going to set up his password. One thing to know about the Collaboration Center is that you cannot see your client's password. I cannot see your client's password, nor can the staff at Paragon see the client password. That is completely hidden to everyone. So if they forget their password, they're just going to simply click on the Forgot Password button. It's going to email them a reset, and they're going to choose a new password for their Collaboration Center. So now that I know that I've set this up for George, so I know that he's going to get these now every 15 minutes. So let's talk a little bit about the Collaboration Center. I want to show you what that looks like. So I'm going to click out of this area here. Now that I've set George up for the Collaboration Center, I have this little button that says View. This is under Site, so he's the only one of my clients that I have set up so far with the Collaboration Center. And I want to show you what that looks like. So if we click on the view, we're going to come in here to our Collaboration Center. Now George has already been in here because there's several things that have already been done. Number one, he has uploaded his personal photo to that, so it welcomes him with his name. It's going to have your brokerage name up here at the top. It's going to have your photo over here with your phone number and a contact me button. And then George is up here. He can upload his profile image, or he can log out of the center. So the first thing we notice is the 42 that we sent him are all under our undecided listings. He has already favorited 8 that we have sent him previously. He's put 5 as possible, and he's not rejected any. So this first one that he sees here, you can see that there are options. He can favorite it, he can possible it, he can reject it, he can place it in a custom folder, or he can compare 2 listings. So what we can do here is, if this is the first one, we want these 2 listings compared, they're very similar, then he can compare these 2 listings here, and you can see all of the there's a different unit number here, but basically they are almost the same listings. So that is a compare button. So we're going to close that out, and we're going to say this is a possible. So we're going to mark the question mark. Now he can view the details here, and all of the details are going to have the photos. It's going to have bedrooms, bathrooms, days on market, the living area, remarks, property details, specific condo information, the room sizes, the schools, all the features, and then the property history. So this tells him a little bit about the history in the property of the MLS. It also gives him a mortgage center. What is my estimated monthly payment if I purchase this property? And then we've got community demographics that they can also take a look at here. So that all sits in the details pages of each listing that you send them in their collaboration center. I'm going to close that out. He's going to mark this one a possible. We're going to say, yep, we like this one, so that's a favorite. And we're going to favorite this one as well. And just for the sake of it, we're going to reject a couple of them as well. We're going to just reject those. So those are some of the things that George can do on his, or any of your clients can do on their collaboration center. This little button, generally that button means to share it, but if you open it up, there's just additional options here. So they can email this to someone, they can add a comment, which would go directly to you as their agent. They can request a showing, which will go directly to you as their agent. They can share this listing on Facebook. They can do a walk score. They can start an offer, which goes directly to you as their agent. And the Make My New Home, I'm not sure what that is, to be honest. Let's see. Okay, so that looks like if you intend to purchase this home, you can go through and do some steps there. That's new. So I'm not sure exactly what that does, to be honest. So we're going to close this out and go back to our area here. And we have a hamburger menu here that's going to give George some options as far as his dashboard. He can do his own property search. He can look at his searches that he saves. He can look at his folders. This is the communication between you and your client, and then he can log out. So I'm just going to close this out because I wanted to give you a quick overview of what the Collaboration Center looked like. But in this video, what we did is we brought up the search that we've already saved to our contact. We opened up the contact information by clicking on his name. We went to buyer activity. We highlighted the search, and then we set up all of our notification options here. So just a quick overview, that is what we did in this video as far as working with our client, setting up a saved search and setting up their notifications to get any kind of new updates. Now, if George is done, if George has found his dream home and he's on his way to a closing, what we can do is a couple things. We can come in here and turn off the notifications, which still has his saved search connected to him. But right now, since it's off, then they're not getting any notifications. They're not getting any new listings. All of that has just been taken away by turning that off. We can also come up here and remove the search from the contact, or we can delete the search altogether. Now, if George ever decides he wants something a little bit different in the condo he's looking for, we can also edit the search in this area. So I'm going to remove the search from this contact, click OK, and then that search is completely taken off of my contact. Now that is an overview of creating a saved search and placing it onto your client and setting them up for notifications.